I think we've probably heard of every possible way to save space in the garden, whether it's trellising or upside down containers, maybe vertical gardening. But what if I told you we can use science to grow two of the most popular garden vegetables, potatoes and tomatoes, in this same space, literally on top of each other? If you don't know me, my name's Ashley. I'm a soil scientist, and I've been gardening since I was about 5 years old. I've been working in the agriculture industry in various different roles for over a decade. And let's just say I love nerding out when it comes to plants and soil. It's very inherent in me. Most parents hear from their children that they want to be doctors and lawyers, but my poor parents were like, great, my kid likes gardening. We have a landscaper in the family. All jokes aside, today's video, I'm actually going to show you how to graft a tomato to a potato, how to select the varieties of potato and tomato that this can be done with, when to do it, etc. and so forth, how to make sure it actually succeeds. You're gonna be shocked by how easy this is and how well it produces given the fact that it's in a small space and you have two plants on top of each other. There was a review article that I was reading for funsies in the Frontiers in Plant Science. And it was the University of Mississippi, and they were kind of going through plants and the reactions to stimuli, etc. and so forth. But there was some commentary on grafting, and I think that they summed it up pretty much perfectly when it comes to this. One statement they made is that plants that graft together are similar in xylem and phloem. So if you don't know what xylem and phloem is, that is essentially the way that the plant is transporting nutrients, sugars, energy, all of it up and down from the roots to the shoots to the leaves to the flowers. Now, the species in which go together have to have very similar bundles of xylem and phloem structure in order for that to happen. If there's like a huge mismatch, then it's impossible to graft correctly. So essentially, a successful graft, when you know it's successful, is when you have a scar or a callus that has formed. And vascular bridge development is a really fancy way to say the assembly that is the xylem, the phloem, like the whole kit and caboodle is what a vascular development is. Saying xylem and phloem and all that sort of stuff over and over again. We just cheat a little bit. And it turns out that tomatoes and potatoes are absolutely fantastic at this. So TomTato is super easy to achieve. Okay, so before we start, we need a razor or a grafting knife, ideally sterilized, grafting clips or a silicone tube. You could also use the grafting tape if you will. You need an indeterminate, aggressively growing tomato. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then an early seed potato. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Obviously, a space to grow things in, and then some way to tag or label if you want to the types of combos that you have made. We all know this. I'm horrible at labeling anything, so I will have a mystery tomato over top of a mystery potato, hands down, guaranteed. So first off, you need to get the best pairing. So the way to do this is to get an early developing potato form. So a Yukon Gold or a Norland are two examples of ones that are perfect candidates potato-wise for this. And then we want an aggressively growing indeterminate, that's very important, indeterminate, aggressively growing tomato. So there are a number of different indeterminates out there. Some I do find are a little bit more princessy, pot princesses, if you will, than others. For example, a beefsteak or a sun gold, or any sort of cherry for that matter, very aggressive. So that is the most likely to have success. If you go for like an indeterminate, I don't know, black crim, something that you don't normally grow or you know doesn't do fantastic in your space, it's going to graft, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to sustain and to get good results off of. So obviously you start the seeds, you start the potato, whatever. The potato begins to perk up, come above that soil system. What you want to do when you see that stem above the soil system is you want to match a tomato stem to a potato stem that is of equal diameter or very similar structure. So if you can line them up or mimic them, that is perfect. You don't want one too big or one too small compared to the other. You want them both to be the same size or pretty darn close to it. Once you've found the potato-tomato combo you want to go with, you are going to play matchmaker and make a baby. So you want to cut the stems at 45 degrees, ideally. So 45 degrees, I don't know, it kind of looks like this. And you want to match them up directly over top of each other. And you want this cut to be made 2 to 3 inches above the soil level. This is very, very important. We do not want this grafting union to get exposed to soil in any capacity. So if you haven't mulched yet and you intend to mulch, It needs to be above where you believe that mulch is going to land. I can't stress this enough. Very, very important. It will fail. Absolutely will fail if that graft gets buried. You go to 2 to 3 inches above, you do that 45-degree angle cut on both the tomato and the potato. The tomato, you want to use the leading edge where a lot of that growth hormone auxin is located. You don't have to necessarily do a whole tomato. And ideally, a smaller tomato is going to do better in this environment. You can just top an existing tomato if you wanted, and then utilize that. It doesn't have to be a tomato that's cut off at the base. And in many cases, the less above ground plant biomass there is, the more likely this is to succeed, because now that plant doesn't have a lot to take care of or to sustain, and you won't end up with a horrifically limp looking plant with 0 to no turgor pressure and just a nightmare waiting to happen. Once it's together, you need to use your grafting clips, your silicone tube, your grafting tape, whatever you chose. You know, that clip thing that I showed you for air roots, anything like that, whatever it may be, you're going to clip it on. And you want to keep that union specifically, but ideally the entire ecosystem at 18 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. Not too hot, not too cold. So this may mean cloches, cold tunnels for Canadians right now in this day and age, because it does get very cold at night still. And you also don't want it in super direct sun. Ideally, it's slightly shaded. Maybe it gets a little bit of afternoon sun for right now. Perfect, wonderful. That's what we want. And then we also want really high humidity. Usually comes in the form of either misting and making sure that mist kind of goes through that silicone tube or into that grafting tape just to keep that moisture up, or you're able to develop like some sort of very humid environment via, plastics and that sort of thing. But those are kind of the 2 environmental microclimate factors that absolutely need to exist. So what takes place from now till day 7 or sometimes up to 10 days is what we call the cellular bridge. There's a bridge being formed between the 2 plants, and that is those vascular bundles kind of making new pathways. So after 7 to 10 days, you can actually remove that clip and start hardening that plant off. So you want to expose it to more light, more wind. You just want to do it nice and slow. Nice and slow. You could also use the bucket method that I've shown you guys a million times. That bucket method would really work well in the case of the beginning grafting portion and keeping the humidity and the heat up, but also then in the hardening off process. Again, because it does protect the plant to some capacity, that I would leave on for around, a week or 2. Okay, so what are the harvest expectations? Because I think that's probably the question everyone's asking. Like, okay, I can do this. Great. But what does it mean for the tomato and the potato yields? Essentially, the potatoes themselves need to be harvested after the tomatoes have been harvested. Once you're done with that tomato plant, those won't be harvestable until the end of the season, which means you probably don't want to do all your potato plants. Otherwise, you won't be eating potatoes till fall. Now, you will get a smaller yield, but a decent yield. Don't get me wrong, it's still good enough. It's actually, if you follow a lot of the instructions I've given you guys about potato planting, it'll be better than most just regular people, potato growers. But ultimately, it's kind of like a roommate relationship where the tomato gets the master bed and bath and the potato gets like the basement type scenario. They make it work, but one just gets a slightly raw edge and maybe lives a slightly more horrible life than it normally would, but in the name of saving space. And the potato yields are fine. They're just normal. You would just treat that tomato like you would any tomato. You would cage it. You can prune suckers if you want. You want to remove leaves that are close to the soil surface. You literally just treat it as you would any tomato. With that being said, if you want more videos on crazy science experiments, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Sharing is caring, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.